There's actually a cohort, an identifiable cohort that they polled that were these elites. They called it the Dirty Dozen. It's, Harvard, Stanford, Yale,
Mhm,
Princeton,
mhm.
Columbia. Our top, those graduates live in zip codes with more than 10,000 people. They trust the government. Like 72% love the government. They believe that there's too much freedom, not too little. Like if you poll you and me at the regular, I want more freedom. Give me more freedom.
Yeah.
Nope, we got too much. They want to take it away. These are the people that believe that we shouldn't have gas stoves, that they believe, I think like almost 60% of them believe that there should only be mandatory air travel, no more discretionary air travel. I mean, these are the people. But because they've all
The Ivy Leaguers?
yes, and
Mm.
because they all graduated from those law schools and
Mhm,
those medical schools,
mhm.
they're controlling the institutions of power, and they're tiny in number. Tiny. They're tiny in number, but they're mighty in their control of the way we think
Well, they're
about
not
things.
tiny in number, because you can look,
There's a million attorneys in the country.
there's
That's still tiny
what I'm
compared to
saying is they're
300
not
million.
well, look, you're only as powerful or weak as the people who are willing to follow you. And no matter how tiny they are in number, there's a broad populace of people who are willing to follow
They
that
control the
expertise.
media and
So
Hollywood.
so I guess they're many in number.
Well, they're powerful in thought for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. That's all that counts?
They must have learned it from the Babylonians.
Yeah, hey, I know who the fuck they
Well,
learned it
I'm just
from.
saying, who
But
gets really rich is not the guy that makes it up.
mhm.
It's the guy that organizes it.
Yeah.
You can have an inventor. An inventor doesn't really care about money; he cares about inventing. And
Yeah.
some bitch comes around and buys it and organizes it. That's what the British did. The
Mhm.
British created an academic tradition of scholars that studied how this worked. I was thinking about this immigration. I want to get back to the Middle East.
Yeah, go ahead.
Immigration. Immigration has been fucking up countries since forever.
Mhm.
Well, one of the greatest immigrant groups in world history is the Jews. They were run out of their country. Well, somebody said, what happens to these countries when these groups come in? I think the first successful open border incursion that destroyed a polity was the creation of Israel.
Say it again?
Israel, Jews came from all over the world and moved to Israel.
Right.
And that overthrew the indigenous population and political structure. It was a migration of an open border. They didn't figure out to close their border until it was too late because the British opened their border. The British did it. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. They had studied it. They have Oxford. What do you think you do when you're a historian? You write a book about something to make a bunch of money, but what you really do is figure out how to fuck things up for the military.
Mhm.
They have a whole bench of people just studying how things went wrong
Funded by the military.
they study how things went wrong in
Yeah.
the past and how it got fixed so they can do it
Alfred
now.
John McKinder.
It's just unbelievable.
This is why they all quote, all of our military generals quote Sun Tzu. So is our culture really European, or is it Eastern Asian? If your military generals still go by the laws of Sun Tzu, are those European military strategies? And I know Napoleon's in there, and it's accumulation of knowledge is what I'm saying.
I really like what you're saying because I say the same thing and have it come back at me like this because we never talked about this.
Mm.
On my podcast, I'm always trying to go through the history and see how, I did a podcast with, had James Brown, Michael Jackson, and I said, James Brown, no, look at how James Brown moves.
Mhm.
Now look at how Michael Jackson
Oh,
moves.
he wanted to be James Brown.
And nobody remembers James Brown and everybody remembers Michael Jackson. But what Michael Jackson was is he had the ability to organize it and get it out to the mass audience for some reason, which we could delve into, right?
Who don't remember James Brown?
Well, I'm telling you, most of my cohort don't remember him. He's
Who?
Most of the old boomers don't remember James Brown. They
No,
don't. They didn't
stop.
know him in the first place.
Stop.
I'm,
James Brown?
I'm just telling you, he's going away.
Oh, that's the problem with your generation right there.
Well, it's the problem with culture, generally speaking.
No, I mean more specifically. the fact that the boomers have lost sight of James Brown might be the single
Or how
greatest.
about Bob Marley or any of these
No, no,
big
no. James Brown is different.
but Brown, and then I
The
play I
funk, the soul, the funk. If you don't know James Brown, that's part of the problem. That's
but
a big part of the
but then
problem.
I put on Michael Jackson, then I put on this white kid whose name I don't remember,
Yeah.
who is really big on Instagram,
Mhm.
and this motherfucker is soulful. I mean, like, really, like and I said, "Where did this come
Who,
from?"
Teddy Swims?
I don't know his name, I'm
Mm.
sorry, but we'll put him up maybe next time we do Hebrews.
Mhm.
He's fantastic. You know, he can sing like Bill Withers better than he's better at Bill Withers than Bill Withers. He's that soulful. And but he's like the most not cool looking dude you could imagine.
Mhm.
And I said on the show, that's cultural diffusion over time. There's no way in 1946 a guy that looked like that could have sang like that. There was just too much gap in the culture. The culture is evolving, moving forward, and I think that's a really fantastic point.